Hi everyone, Agnes here. Now I'm going to do a short video for you today and the wonderful things that I got from my mother around self-love and self-worth. This is where it all began, is by watching her, how she moved through the world. So I'm going to share 3 things that have been really helpful to me in my self-love journey, and the things that I still do today that have been really a thread for many decades. Now, sourcing good food and cooking good food, they go hand in hand. Now, we lived on Vancouver Island and it was an alternative community. There were lots of farms, lots of orchards, salmon fishing and trout fishing, smoked salmon houses in people's backyards. So I grew up with a mother that really put the focus on doing those things, going to these places, going to another person's place to get the eggs or whatever. And she would find and source food while we were at school, and then she spent time making a lot of things from scratch. Processed food was not something I really grew up with. It was something that I picked up later in life, but I can see that my mother and how she did this was a really, really good foundation for beginning self-love and really looking after the physical body and treating the body with respect. So my mother still does this, which is really wonderful, and we both share, a real love of food and recipes, which, I was probably in my early 40s when I started to really enjoy this, so it was quite late in life, but I love that I got that from her, and I love that it's become really important to me, and I make time for it. I think it's really important to make time for this because it's like your whole foundation is based on this, what you eat and the joy and love of preparing it. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is not having a preoccupation with her looks. Now, my mother, not to say she never wore makeup. I remember being about 5 years old and she used to wear this khaki green liquid liner, which was quite popular in the 70s, and I used to watch her and think, wow, what is that, But it was an unusual thing, and she did it, very infrequently, and because of that, it became a fascination. But it was something that she did every now and again, so the whole focus of her beauty wasn't on makeup, hair, and all of that. It was natural beauty, and still to this day in her 70s, she's still like that. And I love that self-love and self-worth aspect that she brought to me, that, you don't need to spend hours doing that, and also you don't need to be constantly looking at yourself. And unfortunately, in this day and age with social media, this over-obsession, I think, with looking at the self and looking at ourselves I was sitting behind someone on the bus and they're doing the reverse camera and looking at themselves, checking themselves out, and that's not an uncommon occurrence on a bus in London. So I love that I got that from her. I think when you really get to the point where you can let go of being so fixated and obsessed with your looks, I think that really helps your self-love, your self-worth, and also your relationships. Okay? So that was the second thing Mum gave me. Now, the third thing was in relation to other people. Now, my mother was, I think she was 18 when she had me. And when we were in Canada, she would have been in her 20s, her late 20s. And I remember we moved into this place and there was this big field behind our house. It was on Vancouver Island, and there was a whole group of bikers, like really scary bikers, with the big logo on the back of the jackets, and there was a whole bunch of them that lived there. Now, my mum didn't have any issues talking to anyone. So she would take me over there and my brother, we were small, and she would bake muffins for them and she would make cakes, and she accepted people irregardless of what color, what age, whether they had tattoos, whether they had piercings, whether they were, rough, whether they were cultured, whether they were gay, whether they were straight. My mother did not care. She was very, very open and not scared, even with 2 children. And I love how she taught me that, to be it's live and let live, accept people how they are. And I didn't grow up with religion, and I didn't grow up with politics, so I didn't have these systems which divide people in my home. She was very accepting and loving, and to this day I have a real appreciation that she gave us that, my brother and I think that that has become something that I really, really appreciate from her, and I really, really appreciate that she was that way and still is that way. It's like, oh, darling, come over and I'll feed you. She'll always have muffins or something for anybody, or a cake, or, a meal or whatever. So I love that that's how she is. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think, we focus so much on the things that our parents do that have hindered us or caused us to have issues, anxieties, inner child problems in relationships, and we focus on that aspect of our parents in relation to this subject. But there is so many good things that come from our parents as well if we look, and I think it's important to acknowledge it. So today, as a little exercise of food for thought, what good things did you get from your parents, from your mum or your dad, or whoever raised you if it wasn't your parents? And what things can you be grateful for and give thanks to for what was given in these ways? So that's it for today, everyone. Lots of love, and I will see you as always in the next YouTube. I will put the Self-Love Success Stories playlist in the description, and I'll pop it up here next to my head as well. Lots of love, and I look forward to hearing what you've got to say about your families and your parents as well down below. Cheers.